You're tuned in to the Bearded Touchline, real football talk, real opinions. I'm Neil Sowens, your host and a longtime Chelsea faithful. The Premier League is back, and today we are diving into three huge storylines: Manchester United's make or break season under Ruben Amorim, Arsenal's latest title push, and Newcastle's biggest test yet. We'll also give our picks for the signing of the seasons, the flop of the season, who will be your top four, and lastly, who will be relegated. Joining me today is Zaid Khan, a long-time Madrid fan, and also Ashish Hombal, who is a long-time Newcastle supporter. So, firstly, thank you guys for joining me. And let's begin. So, before we begin, I know this entire podcast is going to revolve around the Premier League. But before we begin, I just wanted to know from you, Zed, being a Madrid fan, what are you expecting from them this season? Xabi has just come in, a new season, fresh bunch of talent. What are your expectations, man? To be honest.
I mean, we have to win the trophy no matter what. That's what works at Madrid, that you have to win the trophy irrespective. You are a newbie or you're not. So I think Xabi has a lot of expectation, but I think he's done it at Bayern Leverkusen. So I don't see any reason why he would not do it at Madrid. And I think looking at the Club World Cup, I think Madrid did well with the kind of resources they had, with the
Mhm.
injuries and the kind of players that we've had. I think a lot of players adapted well, reaching the semi-finals. I think in the Club World Cup with the little preparations, I think he's done a good job. But I think I'm looking forward to it. I think we've got some good signings
Yeah.
already, and I think there's a new structure in terms of the formation. So positive, and yeah, I think we have to win a lot of trophies this season because last season was not something that was good.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, do you think Xavi will? Ashish, this is to you. Do you think, knowing Madrid, do you think if he has a poor start, do you think Perez will give him the boot mid-season?
I don't think so. They'll have to give some time at least to a new manager. I mean, Madrid generally has this policy of hire and fire if the success is not
Exactly.
immediate. But I think for a manager of Xabi's quality, they will give him some time.
Makes sense. Perfect. So now moving on to our three important topics. Let's start with Manchester United. All right. They've spent a huge amount of money, man. 130 million spent on their top three. I don't know who wants to go for the first question. I just want to ask basically, what do you think? Will Ruben Amorim survive the United hierarchy? Will he be sacked mid-season? What are your takes on that? I mean, do you think he will be the United manager for the entire season, or a poor start and he's gone?
I can take that. No,
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
for United, again, Amorim, I think it's going to be a long season for them, even with the new signings,
Hmm.
for them to sort of fit into his system. I don't know whether the players exactly will take up to it immediately. Also,
Makes sense.
Sesko is almost on the mold of Hoyland. So he's better than Hoyland, but I think it might not be an immediate success up front over there. Mbuemo and
Hmm.
Cunha, yes, I think they might help them sort of improve, but I doubt they'll be able to break into the top six at least, maybe
So you're
seventh or
saying,
eighth. Yeah,
so
but coming back to the whole Amorim point, I
Mhm.
think he'll survive. I mean, it's a long season. It'll be a long season. The only plus for them is they don't have Europe this year. So that might help them, with the other teams struggling in the Premier League. I think they should get top six at least, or six or
Mm,
seven. And
sixth
he
or
will
seventh.
survive the season. I think they'll show patience with Amarim.
You think they will? I mean, he's a good manager, to be honest. I think the bunch of players he haven't really clicked. So yeah, I mean, again, you just mentioned Sesko, and he's the player that has rejected Newcastle for United. Does that say a lot about where Newcastle is headed at? They cannot. I mean, we had a conversation just today. You know.
See, as a Newcastle fan, the only thing I can see as a positive for this is that at least we are fighting for the same pool of players as Liverpool, United, and Chelsea and
Mhm.
City whenever they would have been interested in any of these guys. But that's a good sign. So it's not like that we have lost these players to, let's say, Aston Villa, which are also a pretty big club. So at
Makes
least in
sense.
that regard, I think it's a step in the right direction. Yes, maybe players still don't see the attraction of United yet. I mean, my United yet. But maybe in a few years' time that might change. But for the time being, at least we are going for the right players. We're losing out
Makes sense.
for sure. but maybe in a few years, the Cescos of the world will sign for us instead of Manchester United.
Hopefully, absolutely, man. I second that completely. Zed, uh, Amorim, will he survive or not post start? What do you
I
think?
think he'll survive. I think I think in a long time, I think Man U have a plan this time. I would say they've got a good manager. I think he has what it takes, Ruben Amorim, and
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the first season where he's able to make a lot of changes. Earlier I think it was all the previous players that he's got. You know, so I think they will give him time. I think if they wanted to sack him, they would have sacked him. I think last season because they ended the league. I think on 16th or 17th position,
16,
right?
17.
So, I mean, they've already hit rock bottom. It cannot get worse than this. So, I think this season, it will only get better, is what I feel. And with the kind of recruitments that they've got, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to be a bit positive. I think top 10 finish, but maybe they'll miss out on Europe for sure. But again, as Ashish mentioned, they're not playing in Europe. So, they have that advantage. I mean, I think that's what we saw with a lot of clubs last season,
Mm-hmm.
who were not playing in Europe, but they got a bit of advantage. So I think they're making some good moves. I think they have learned from their mistakes. They've got a good manager. I mean, I think he said it himself, Amarim,
Absolutely.
that if they don't do well, I think he'll be the first person to walk out rather than the club. So I think he's got
Yeah.
what it takes. I think he's understood it very well, and I think with the new ownership, I think
Mm-hmm.
things might change at Manchester United now. Finally.
Hopefully, I mean, it's been a while. I mean, from being one of the most dominant football clubs in the world to actually being 17, it doesn't really suit
But then I
United.
think I want to add one more thing is that they've got Sesko. I think a lot of clubs were eyeing for him, and a lot of clubs
Exactly.
which are in Champions League right now. But then he
Liverpool
picked Liverpool, Newcastle. Same goes for Mbuemo. I think Tottenham, and I think other clubs were also pushing for him. But then he
makes
wanted
sense.
United. So I think they still have got that push, or pull. I think they will go for more signings. I think their defense look a
Mm-hmm.
bit weak. They've got attacking in place a bit, but I think with
Mm-hmm.
good departures, I think Rashford is out. So they're getting a lot of financial stability as well. So good
Makes
signs,
sense.
positive signs as of now.
Absolutely. I mean, so both of you agree that United are not making top four.
Yeah, I think it's a bit difficult. I think they still need a lot of signings. Let's see what they do towards the end of the season. No, sorry, towards
Yeah,
the
I
end of
think
the transfer window.
top four, definitely. I don't see United finishing top four or even five for that matter. Maybe
Wow,
six
that's a
or seven.
bold statement, Ashish. I mean, I mean, with the players they've signed, they are up. The top three players up front look nuke, to be honest. All
No, but
right,
like Zed said, that the top three is fine. The defense remains the same as last year. Their goalkeeper is
makes
a
sense.
huge problem. So those
Onana,
issues will
yeah,
continue. They are now linked with that Baleba, which might make a change for them. But otherwise, it's practically the same. Attack, yes, they've improved, but the defense and the mid is still poor.
makes sense. Absolutely. All right. So from the red side of Manchester to the red side of North London now, Arsenal are once again gearing up for a title challenge. And trust me, when I talk about Arsenal, I mean they are one of my favorite clubs to talk about. All right, being a Chelsea faithful, I think getting into a banter session with these Arsenal fans are always hilarious. But I want to ask both of you, all right, simple. If Arteta doesn't win the league this year, should he be sacked? Who would want to take
I
that
mean,
up first?
I don't think so. He'll be sacked. I think he's done a good job, but I think it's very important for them to, win a cup at least, irrespective whichever it is. I think Arsenal fans are hungry for a cup. I think looking at what Tottenham did, other clubs did, Crystal Palace. I think this is a time where Arsenal have to win a cup, but I don't think so. They'll sack him. I think they've got good depth. They've bought some really good players. I think this season.
I mean,
So I feel they've got good depth this season, which they were missing last season. So I think top two finishers there definitely.
but isn't that the same story every season? I mean, they buy a player, they bought Harvards, they thought that, the season is theirs. Like Evra really actually said, Arsenal like watching Netflix, a new season all over again. But Ashish, I want to ask you, I mean, do you think, trust the process that Arteta has been going on for years? Do you think it's high time that, he actually delivers a trophy? Or do you think he should be shown the door if I'm not saying a Premier League, but a major trophy is not won this season. But to be honest, I think Arsenal deserve the Premier League now. Their fans are wanting it for for over years now. So what do you think? If Arteta doesn't deliver the Premier League, would you think his time is up at Arsenal?
I will agree with Zaid on this. I don't think his time is up just for not delivering a Premier League title. Yes, a cup is probably their best chance at silverware.
Hmm.
They have improved, but the problem this year has been everyone has had a superb summer. So, even your likes of Liverpool, Chelsea have gone, even they have improved as well. So that gap probably will still remain. They will
Hmm.
finish, I think, top three for sure. Now,
Okay.
whether their signings make the difference, because last year, whenever I saw Arsenal play, the thing that they were missing was up front, which they seem to have got Gyökeres in. Now,
Yep.
depends
Yep.
whether he hits the ground running and gets their 20 plus goals that they need up front to probably, make a challenge at least for the title. If that doesn't happen, they're not going to challenge for the Premier League title for sure. They need a 20 plus goal scorer. If Gyökeres is the answer, then possibly they could challenge for the title.
So how many goals do you think Gyökeres will bag? He's bagged 54 goals with Sporting last season with 52 appearances. So what do you think will he challenge Haaland for the Golden Boot the season?
Generally, it's not easy to get into the Premier League and bed in immediately. So
Hmm.
difficult to answer that question. It all depends. See, Arsenal do create a lot of chances. Now,
Yeah,
if let's assume they had signed an Isak instead of Gyökeres, I would have been very confident about Arsenal. But Gyökeres is still unproven at this level, so we'll have to see how that works out. But
absolutely.
on a
That's what
prediction,
I've
I
been
don't
reading
think he'll
about.
get to 20, but double figures for sure easily he should get.
Wow. And do you think that's enough, to rely on one player to get 20 goals to winning the Premier League? I mean, when you look around the Arsenal squad, who else do you think can help them win the league? For example, Havertz. I mean, do you think he can be involved? And what about Saka? I mean, do you think these players have what it takes for them to win the title? Or do you think they have to be more ambitious and signing bigger players like a Sesko or players that can actually win the league? Do you think Icarus is the answer for them for now, or do you think they need to bag in more players?
Is that for me?
Yeah, I mean, any one of y'all can take that, man. I mean, go for it.
Okay. I mean, the squad is there. For a change, this time they've added well, even in the midfield. Zubimendi
Yep.
looks the part.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever I've seen of him, he looks good. The defense was always solid. So the thing that was missing for them was that focal point up front, which
Hmm.
they seem to have got now. Whether he gets the 20 goals that is needed to win the Premier League, that remains to be answered. But definitely they are in with a good shout. I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, the same thing could apply with City or Liverpool. So I think Arsenal have a good chance, but it all depends on how quickly Gyökeres hits the ground running.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So we leave it to that. I mean, I think both of you can agree that they will make top four, or do you think Europa League is their spot this season?
I think they've got a strong squad. I think they'll make it to the top two. They'll give Liverpool a tough fight for sure with the signings they've had. I mean, they've
Zed,
had Sak.
if
Yeah,
you're giving me that, if you're actually telling me that Arsenal are going to make top two, where do you put City in the figure then? Where is City on the table? If
to
Liverpool,
be to be honest, City are going through a transition. They've lost out De Bruyne.
true.
I think they didn't have a good season. They've bought in a lot of players. I mean, they've got some unproven players. I would say they've done well in their leagues, but they haven't.
Mhm.
Premier League is a whole different gravy altogether. So they haven't done it. So I'm not really sure, but maybe a third or fourth spot for City.
Third or fourth.
I'm not really confident on City at the moment. They have a new team now. But on the other side, I think Arsenal, I think these players have been playing together for a while now. And
True.
on top of already the good players they have, Saka, Saliba, Gabriel, Jesus, Rice, and now I think with the addition of Gyökeres and Christian Mosquera, I think he's a young defender, really good. I think he did well in La Liga as well. I think a lot to look forward. I think they will give a tough fight. And the way they played, they knocked us out as well. I mean, they were really good, I must say. But yeah, this
Perfect.
season they'll only get better.
I mean, only time will tell where Arsenal end up
Hmm.
on the table. But now from London to the northeast, Ashish, your team, Newcastle, have their biggest season yet ahead. I mean, last season you all won the Carabao Trophy after 70 years. What would you call a successful season for Eddie Howe's team this year?
Uh, See, given where we are right now in this transfer window, if we
Hmm.
can get that fifth spot again, I'll be very happy. I think Isak is in one way or another not going to play for us. Whether he stays with Newcastle or moves to Liverpool, I think it's the last of Isak at least at Newcastle. So
Okay.
I I think even if we get to fifth or sixth, I'd take it as a successful season.
Fifth or sixth is successful, but how important is Isak to Newcastle? And another question: if you'll have to lose him to Liverpool or any other club, who would you want to be your top striker this season? Anyone in mind? I'm hearing whispers of Nicholas Jackson replacing Isak. So, do you think? Oh,
See, to be honest, I wouldn't personally not like Nicholas Jackson to join Newcastle. But on the whole, Isak, without doubt, is important. I mean, there's a reason why Liverpool are taking him because they know that it's almost a guaranteed Premier League title if they land him. So the rest of the
mhm.
Premier League is also probably hoping that Newcastle somehow scupper that deal and maybe give
Very true.
Arsenal and Chelsea a chance to stay in the fight. If he lands up at Liverpool, I think the Premier League title is done with their front three now of Ekitike and Salah. I can't see anyone stopping them. So for Newcastle, a replacement it looks difficult. We have been linked with Johan Wissa, but I think that's more of a Wilson replacement.
Makes sense.
And
Yeah.
we lost to Sesko, we lost João Pedro to Chelsea. So really, I don't know what's left in the market that we can go for to replace
Mhm.
Isak. 25 plus goals is virtually impossible at so late in the transfer market.
What's the price tag you're putting on Isak if they have to sell? Do you break the transfer record, the British transfer record, or what's the price tag on Isak right now? If someone has to come and
See,
approach, what's the number?
I feel Liverpool have done this very smartly. They've put in one bid,
Hmm.
then sort of Isak's head is turned, and now the fact that he's virtually on strike, Newcastle probably will have to settle for that 110 to get him off the
Wow.
payroll now. So I don't
That,
think that's going to go up. The
Mhm.
only other way is that Newcastle refuse to sell, and then maybe he plays for the under 23s for the rest of the season. That's the only way out.
I mean, Zed, I'm going to ask you this, all right? Madrid are known to buy star players. If Madrid have to go and buy Isak, how much are you willing to pay for a striker like Isak? If hypothetically you all go for a striker, what's the number?
I mean, he scored 21 goals last season, with Newcastle. I mean, that's pretty good. With the team that they have, I think he's done a good job. But I think 100 million or a 90 million, I think as per the current market, I would say is enough. But I think he's one of the players, I think, in the Premier League, who
Mhm.
has all the characters to be a good striker. I think that's what he's done. But I think the biggest problem for Newcastle is that they don't have a backup for him. I don't see anyone in the market who can replace him, as Ashish said. I mean, they are linked with Visa. Maybe
Who's
Vlahovic.
also Saudi bound, if I'm not mistaken. Recent reports said that the Saudi clubs are up for visa, so I don't think even that's going to happen. So it's going to be a tough task to actually
eh,
replace a striker like Isak.
Maybe Vlahovic, maybe that's someone, he wants to leave Juventus since a while. But I
Yeah.
don't see it. He's, again, not proven, difficult to replace Isak. He's done a good job. But
Mhm.
I think it'll be very tough for Newcastle, I feel. Maybe he might stay for another season. You never know.
I mean, hopefully it does for the Newcastle fans. But to the both of you, again, do Newcastle make top four? I think Ashish said 4 or 5 is realistically, 5 or 6 is realistically good for him. Uh, Zed, your pick on this, man. Do you think they're going to make top four with the amount of
No,
competition in Chelsea?
not at all. I don't think so. The kind of squad that they have, though they've bought
Huh?
Elanga, but again, they should have gone. Since I think they're playing in Europe, right? So they should have gone for bigger players, and I think I think they have some restrictions in regards to financial fair play, so they're not able to
Yes.
go for a lot of players. So I think
Yeah.
it's difficult. I think other clubs are having a better, recruitment policy than them. So I
Mhm.
think it'll be difficult to make it, and I think with the way Aston Villa are, they're going for good players along with Spurs as well. I think it's going to be a tough spot for Newcastle for sure this season for sure.
Let's see. I mean, we are 1 week away from the Premier League. I mean, so let's see what happens. But that's a wrap. It's something every fan loves, predictions, all right? So let's get into predictions, the hits and the misses. Uh, Ashish, I'll go with you first. I want your signing of the season so far, and who do you think is going to be the flop of the season?
Signing of the season so far, I think as of now it's Florian Wirtz.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
probably again like a big step in the right direction for Liverpool, sort of
Hmm.
cementing where they are.
Hmm.
And I personally, I have a feeling Sesko is not going to work at United. So let's wait and watch.
Hopefully, I honestly second that. I think I just hope it doesn't work. But so that's, I mean, what is your player of the season, and Sasko will be your flop. Zed, your pick, man.
I think again I'll go with Florian Wirtz as well. I think what he's done with Bayer Leverkusen, again a good team, but I think with the kind of players that he's gonna have, his teammates at Liverpool, I think
Hmm.
he's had 40, 30 to 40 goal contributions last season. I think with the players again that he's gonna have, I think he's gonna blossom really well. So I think he'll be the back of the season. I think flop. I think Embuemo. I think it's going to be difficult for him to transition into the new season, and
Hmm.
especially what's happening at United.
Hmm.
Though I think in the long run, maybe things might be different, but I think the first season is going to be difficult for him.
I mean, that's a fair understanding of why Mbemo could be a flop. But
And
coming to the main.
again, a bigger price tag as well. I think 71 million. That's a big price tag. You
But
know,
that's exactly what me and Ashish were discussing over the past week. The prices are inflated, man. I don't see any player going within 50 mil these days. Every
I
player
mean,
who is going to another club, it starts from 60 million. So I don't think you can justify that by saying the price tag isn't, you need to justify the price tag. Again, you have someone like Wirtz, who's only Bundesliga experience, coming to the Premier League, breaking the transfer record. So yeah, let's see. I mean, price tags are inflated these days. But coming to the main question now, and I wanted an exact order: your top four for the season, and who do you think will be relegated? Your top four and your bottom three. Ashish, you first.
Top four in order.
Yes,
Uh,
champion, second, third, and fourth.
Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, City. Top four.
That's brave, man.
And
That's brave.
bottom three, I think the three clubs, every year it's usually the three clubs that come up. But I have a feeling Bournemouth and Brentford might struggle this year. Bournemouth, their defense has been obliterated. And
True.
Brentford also up front, they've lost, and including their manager. So those two might be in the mix as well. But
Okay.
it's pretty much the clubs that have come up to go down straight away.
So where are you putting Tottenham on the table? I mean, Thomas Frank is their new manager. They have just lost Son. But do you think they're going to have a disastrous season like last year? I mean, they did win the Europa League, but putting that aside, if you speak domestically, where are you putting Tottenham on the table?
So I think the top four now have sort of pulled away from the rest of the league. Even
Hmm.
with United signings, they have been so poor for so many years that there's a big gulf in from the top four clubs to the rest. So I
Hmm.
think United, Manchester United, Newcastle United, Aston Villa, and Tottenham will be fighting for 5 to 8, and
Okay.
it could be anyone over there.
Wow. And Zed, if you were to pick your top four and your bottom three.
well, I would say top four would be Liverpool and Arsenal will be fighting for the top two spot, I think. But Liverpool, Arsenal, I think third, I'll maybe give Chelsea, because with the kind of signings they've had, I think they've made some good signings. They've learned from their mistakes. They've
Hmm.
bought a lot of players, but I think they sold a lot of them as well and, covered it up. And I think City four, because I think it's a transition season for them. Let's see what Pep does. But yeah, City four, for sure.
City four. I mean, that's. I mean, I doubt. I don't know why you guys are putting City as not title contenders. Honestly, if you ask me, I do not think Liverpool are going to win the league. I think it's City for me this year. But let's see. Liverpool play in the next few hours for the Community Shield. That'll give us a better idea. But that's our Premier League preview from United's pressure, Arsenal ambitions, and Newcastle's challenge to our early calls on the best and worst signings, top four and delegated sides. A big thanks to Zaid and Ashish for joining us. Let us know your thoughts. Will Amorim survive? Can Arsenal win it? Who's your top four? And who's going down? We'll be back next week with more football talk. See you then.